Hey there, how's it going? My name is Christian. Welcome to my channel. I am Christian M, a place where I decided to document my attempted journey to financial independence. Now, by financial independence, we're simply referring to getting to the point where we're generating enough in real passive income to cover our living expenses. Now, on this channel, I generally like to talk about online business, right? Self development, and pursuing that financial independence. And showing it in a way that someone watching could try to replicate whatever I'm doing, especially in the event that it turns out to be successful. So, if you find this kind of stuff interesting, please do me a favor. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button below. And while you're at it, don't forget to hit the bell icon so that you're notified every single time I release a new video. Now, one of the videos or one of the things that I have not covered or talked about as much in recent times is the whole idea of the things you need to do to actually, become financially independent, right? And because more in more recent times I've been talking a whole lot more about like what I'm doing with my online business and all that type of stuff. But one of the biggest things, right, is like with financial independence, right? If we're looking to get rich and all that, here's one thing that I always, at least I haven't said it as much on this channel, but it's something I always think about, and I will tell people in day to day life or who wonder what it is I'm about and what I'm doing. And I have this thing that I like to say, right? You don't need to be rich, because this is something that a misconception a lot of people have, right? That you need to have a ton of money in order to start investing and all that type of stuff, right? And here's the thing I like to say: you don't need to be rich to invest, but you need to invest to become rich, right? So that's just and all. What am I simply getting at with that? You can start with something really small, okay? Now, when I talk about investing, what exactly am I referring to, right? We're not talking about gambling or any kind of silly stuff. Or I mean, you can invest in so many different ways, right? Like whether it's in, investing in yourself with education, or uh you know purchasing already packaged knowledge, right? Whether that's through courses and all that type of stuff, and using that information to start building a business, an online business, and all that type of stuff. Kind of like what I'm doing with the online stuff. But then when it comes to the actual, like monetary investing, right? Investing in actual paper assets and stuff like that, right? Stocks. Well, real estate wouldn't necessarily be considered a paper asset, but let's just go with something that's really simple that the average everyday individual can get going with, no matter how small of an amount of money you think you have is to get going with, right? And you don't have to have like a huge amount of money to get started. You can start with the smallest bit of money, right? But the key is to periodically put that money to work. Whatever it is you're investing in, is you need to be adding to that amount, right? So case in point, let me just be very direct about what I'm aiming to do, right? Without talking in circles or vaguely, where by at the end of the video you have no idea what to do still, right? I'm going to speak in very direct terms, but I want you to realize this is not financial advice. First and foremost, I need to point that out. This is not financial advice. I'm just telling you what I'm doing. All right, I'm telling you what I'm looking to do. All right. So when it comes to investing, I'm not a professional. I'm not any kind of stock guru or anything like that, right? I don't claim to be, I don't pretend to be, and I don't have, I'm not looking to be one, right? Which is why, for the average person like myself, who does not have the time, who is not a professional, does not have the time to go researching individual companies and all that type of stuff, your best bet, at least the bet I'm taking, making, right, is to invest in ETFs, right? They call it ETF, exchange traded funds. And the specific one that I'm looking to, right, is one that tracks the S&P 500, right? Which, the S&P 500, and its ticker symbol is VOO, right? It trades just like a stock, okay? You can get any of these investing apps, right? And any of these investing apps, the one of the ones that I'm using right now, for example, is Robinhood, right? That's going to be the second link in the description below this video, right? And you can even do this on something like SoFi as well, right? I have the first link in the description below this video, which will take you to a place where you can open up a high yield savings account for free. Okay, so that is, that's another starting point, right? Besides investing in as a matter of fact, that would be where I'll start, right? Before investing in the stock market per se, right? I would be looking to build that emergency fund, right? Build that emergency fund, and rather than keeping your emergency fund in your typical brick and mortar bank, which pays you close to nothing, I would put it in a high yield savings account like the one I'm using, SoFi, which is going to be that first link in the description below this video. And it's an easy way to start investing, right, for the average person. But I wouldn't necessarily consider that investing in the traditional sense of investing, right, like using the stock market and all that. This is just basically where you keep your emergency fund, but while it's there for emergency purposes, it's actually making you money as well. Okay. So like that first link in the description below this video, if you use that link, it will enable you to open a high yield savings account for 100% free, no fees, nothing, none of that, right? And you'll actually get $25 for free for opening that account and depositing at least $50 into the account. And if you want to get that $25 instantly, or like within the first 15-20 minutes, you want to use a debit card to just instantly instantly deposit $50 into the account. You want to use a debit card and not a credit card. It's got to be a bank issued debit card. Okay, a bank issued debit card from your current, your existing bank. Deposit $50 in there, and then within 15 to 20 minutes, you will see an additional $25 come in there for free. Okay. And if you you will get access to your own referral link to use SoFi, and anybody that you refer to join SoFi, you will earn $75 from as well. Okay, so technically speaking, within 24 hours from now, if you sign up for an account, you will get $25 for free. And if you just recommend either any one of your friends, right, anybody, and they sign up, you could technically have $100 just like that within 24 hours. And the more people the more money you can make, right? Now if you have that money in there, you just sitting there, now that money, let's just say you put all your your savings in there and your emergency fund and all that right there is, you can look at that as an investment in itself, right? Because it's a place that your money is parked, but it will be growing. Okay, it's a place where your money is parked and it will be growing. And the current rate at the time of this recording is, I think it's, if you set up direct deposit, they will pay you up to 3.8%. Okay. 3.8%. If you don't have direct deposit, I believe it's like 1.2% or so, which is still way higher than your typical brick and mortar bank. But if you don't have a direct deposit and you don't want to use, let's say, your current job, or put like a little portion of your direct deposit in there, what you can do is sign up for ClickBank, right? Which is an affiliate network that I absolutely love, probably my favorite, right? And set up direct deposit with them, since they're also an employer. Use that, when you make commissions there, use that as your direct deposit in SoFi, and that will give you that 3.8% interest rate, right? And that is one, like if you have $10,000 sitting in there in a year, that's about $380 that you would make for free. All right. That's 380, but that's like an investment, right? It's compounding, compounding, compounding. Now, if you want to do like so the thing about that is that's virtually guaranteed, right? And then they're also FDIC insured, so your money's covered no matter what, right? So that's a low risk investment. Like that's where your money is secure, right? If you want to get a higher risk investment and more higher risk investment but higher reward, that's where now things like the second link in the description below this video is that you can go open up a Robinhood account, right, and get some free stocks as well when you do that. And that's where you will be able to take your money and purchase those, like for shares of VO, basically the ETF that I mentioned earlier, right? VOO. And if you think about it, I spoke earlier about you don't have to be rich to invest, but you've got to invest in order to be rich. If you have a thing like, if you just invest in something like VOO as an example, right? Broad, it's basically a compilation of the 500 biggest or strongest companies in the US, right? So you're investing into the market as a whole, the broad stock market, as opposed to taking a chance on any one individual stock that may tank or could shoot off or take off and all that. Stock market historically has had an eight, roughly, over the past, I don't know how many years, but on, let's just call it a roughly 8% return every year, right? Let's just, a small, roughly speaking, right? Somewhere between 7, 8, 9, somewhere there, right? Every single year, right? If the key, and the key here, you're not looking to time the market or anything like that. It's just money that you put in and you just keep adding month after month, month after month. The way to get rich is basically spend less than you make and invest the difference. That's just that's like, for simple terms, layman's, or like for regular people like you and I who are not trying to do anything complicated or fancy. If you just want to get something going on your own, right? This other than what you would do with, let's say, when you go see your financial advisor and a professional, right, that tells you what to do and how to invest your money and all that type of stuff. If you just want to get going with something just for yourself, right? That's something that's what I'm doing. Okay, that's what I'm doing. It's something you can do. I would advise you go do your own research, right, and look it up and just decide from there. But if you want to get going with something that is like the simplest way to get going, right? Stack up your emergency fund first, right? Pay off your debt, stack up your emergency fund, have your emergency fund sitting in a high yield savings account like the one I mentioned earlier. First link in the description below, right? Let that be compounding, gaining interest, right? And then when you've taken care of that, right, your emergency fund, and then now you want to start investing a little more aggressively with a little more high reward but higher risk as well, right? Look to something like the second link in the description below this video. Go open up your free Robinhood account where you can start trading, and you just want to buy the broad market stuff like VOO is just an example. There are others as well, but that's the one, my preferred one, right? And just keep putting money away as an example, right? Like right now, it's just one of those things that I wish I had known when I was early, in my earlier, like in my 20s and stuff like that. Over the span of 20 years, let's just say with that 8% return on average, right, over the years, and we're not timing the market, you're not putting money to take out within the next year or two. No, I'm just talking indefinitely for an extended period of time. Over the span of 20 years, right, if you just put in roughly $2,000 per month, I'm just giving that as an example. You don't, like I said, you can start small. Obviously, the older you are, the less time you have on your side, right? But let's just say now you're in your 40s, right? Like, your early 40s, like myself. And by the time you're 60, you want to have amassed like $1 million, whatever the case is, to live off of, right? Um, with over the span of 20 years, if you put $2,000 a month at roughly 8% interest, right, which is what the stock market has historically given in returns over the years, right, you would have amassed that $1 million in roughly 2 years. Okay. Sorry, in roughly 20 years. Okay. But then again, how realistic is $2,000 for most people? Maybe not as much, right? So the earlier you start, the more time you'll have. The better for you. The earlier you start, the less money you have to put away to hit that $1 million mark, for example, right? $500 a month, starting. Maybe when like in your early 20s or so, right? And then you have the magic of compound interest working in your favor for over the span of 40 years, right? Or 30 years, whatever the case may be, starting at 20, and by the time you're 60, you'll have your $1 million. But that's just the thing. You just get started with something, right? Get started with something, whether it's $100 a month, $50 a month, whatever the case may be. Okay. But anyway, that's just what I wanted to share in this video. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, put them in the comments section below. I will be sure to respond. Like I said, as a reminder, this is not financial advice. Okay, I'm just sharing what I'm doing. If you want financial advice, go see a professional. Okay, I'm just telling you what I'm doing and what if you just wanted to get going with something on your own, right? Just to get going, it's something that you can do as well too. If you decide to do that, go do your own research though, right? But anyway, thank you ever so much for taking the time to watch, and I will catch you in my next video. Ciao.